All right. So imagine if we have a problem like this. We have a problem where we have x over a number. In this case, what I'll do is I'll use, instead of x over a number, I'll use x over 2 is equal to 5. All right. Now, normally from before, if you thought about it, here's what we did. We had 5x is equal to 10. What we would normally do is we would divide both sides by 5 to get rid of this 5 that was here. Okay? Now, that 5 that was there, when you divide out the x, the 5x becomes x, and then we have 10 divided by 5, which is 2. And that is what we get for our answer. And that's what we used to do from before. Now, this time, what we have is x divided by a number. Now, before we divided by said number, if it was timesing, right? Because 5x is the same as 5 times x. Now, this part here, x over 2 equals 5, here's what has to happen. Instead of dividing by 2 like we normally did before, this time what we're going to do is we're going to times both sides by 2. And what that does is it cancels out the 2 on the left side, so we're left with x is equal to, well, 5 times 2 is 10. And we're done. So let's try that again. So imagine I have, let's say, x over 3 is equal to 10. I want to basically solve for x, but remember what we always had to do. We always had to take our stuff and move our letters to the left side and move our numbers to the right side. So in this case, what we have is x over 3 equals 10. So now my x over 3, because it's positive on the right side, I'm going to move it to the left side. I'm going to have negative x over 3. And that's going to equal, well, negative 10. Because what we've done is we've literally just taken our 10 and changed the side, changed the sign. So now we have negative 10. So now all we have to do is we get rid of the 3. But in this case, what we have to do is we have to times both sides by, instead of 3, we're going to times both sides by negative 3. And by timesing both sides by negative 3, we get rid of the negative 3 that is on the x. So now we're left with x is equal to negative 10 times negative 3 gives us positive 30. And that is our final answer. Now, let's see what would happen if we have a different situation. So imagine I have this problem here, x plus 1 over 2. And all I want to do is to solve for x like we usually did before. To solve for it, we'd have to identify the fact that we have a 2 on the bottom here. That 2 on the bottom says that we're going to have to multiply both sides by 2 in order to get rid of it. So multiplying both sides by 2 means this is gone and this is gone, which means that the left side is just left with x plus 1. So it just cancels out, right? And then on the right side of our problem, we get equals, well, 7 times 2, which is 14. And now all we have to do is we got to get our x's by itself. So now we're going to take this positive 1 and we're going to move it over to the right side. Remember, if we change the side, we change the sign. So we end up with x is equal to 14. And then instead of plus 1, we have minus 1. And now when we simplify, we end up with x is equal to 14 minus 1 is 13. And we're done. So now, the most difficult problem that you will see today. So imagine I have a problem like this. X plus 1 equals negative 4. Now, normally, what we would do is we need to get our x's to one side and our numbers to the right side. So in this case, the only thing that's out of order here is this plus 1. So we're going to take this plus 1 and we're going to move it over to the right side here. So on the left side, we have x over 3 left over. And then we bring down our minus 4, and then we have, well, instead of plus 1, it moves over to the right side. We end up with minus 1. So now we end up with x over 3 is equal to negative 5. So now, how do we get rid of the negative, the 3 on the bottom? We multiply both sides by 3. And now we end up with a final answer of x is equal to negative 15. All right, so I want you to do the 3 questions that you see on this page.